you need to stay with CNBC.
NASA's Space Shuttle Discovery is poised to launch tomorrow. Let's take a look at a live picture of Discovery on the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. For as long as spaceflight has even been just an idea, it's been the domain of superpowers and big government contracts. But now, some CEOs, some of them whose companies have nothing to do with spaceflight, are taking matters into their own hands. Everyone from billionaire Sir Richard Branson to Amazon's Jeff Bezos, PayPal founder Elon Musk, and Jim Benson of Space Dev are getting in on the action. Here to talk about how private enterprise may soon leave NASA in the space dust is Space.com science correspondent Dave Brody, and in just a moment, a surprise guest. Wait till you see what he's doing in space. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Liz, how are you?
I'm well. Hey, what's going on here? These CEOs of companies, again, some of them completely separate from space travel, are pouring big bucks into the ether.
Right. Well, you can think about it a bit like this, Liz. I brought the Discovery with us. Well, actually, this isn't the Discovery. This one is 100 times smaller than the one that's going to launch out of the Kennedy Spaceport tomorrow at 3:48 in the afternoon. But for purposes of this discussion, we can think about this not as a spaceship, but as a mainframe computer circa about 1972, because I think that's about where we are in the evolutionary tree, if you will, of spacecraft development. And look at who some of these new CEOs are that are getting into this independent space commercialization business. They come from the computer and software business. President Bush has decreed that the shuttle is going to stop flying by 2010, and we have a gap. What's going to take its place? The time is now to start developing some of these vehicles, and that's what these guys are looking at. They're looking at a real market. They are not starry-eyed dreamers. Well, maybe they are a little bit, but they're also good, solid businessmen, as proven by their track records, right?
Like Sir Richard Branson of Virgin, he seems to be quite close here. What's he got?
Yeah, well, Richard has taken a look at the success of the X Prize winner, Burt Rutan's Spaceship One, and he's ordered 5 of them, only his are going to be quite a bit larger. Spaceship Two, which Burt Rutan is designing and constructing for Sir Richard, will have the capacity to take 6 or 8 people into a up-and-down thrill ride. Think of it as a reverse bungee jump, if you will. We're looking at a picture of it now. This is approximately what you'd see out the window. And Sir Richard has said that not only will he fly on the first one, but he's going to bring his kids. So he's a guy who knows how to run an airline.
Oh, my gosh. And so he's pretty confident. In fact, he's even, aside from these vehicles, we've got a map of where he bought a whole bunch of property in New Mexico of where he'll have a spaceport.
Sure, he did, and he's not alone. Actually, this is the state of New Mexico's spaceport. It's called the Southwest Regional Spaceport near Upham, New Mexico. The state's put up $225 million to finance this project, and Sir Richard has committed about $150 million of Virgin's money.
And here's his spaceport. What the heck is this?
You know, if you've ever been close to Sir Richard, and I must admit that I have not, this is actually his right eye. So he knows how to run an airline. He's concerned about your safety as you float over the New Mexico desert. Sir Richard's going to be keeping an eye on you. This is actually his eyeball.
Always into marketing. Joining us now is one of the CEOs who's very interested in taking part, Elon Musk, the founder of PayPal and now chairman and CEO of SpaceX. Mr. Musk, from PayPal to payload, tell us about your spacecraft, the Falcon.
Sure. Well, the Falcon, I should say, is an orbital rocket. So in contrast to what Branson and the others are doing, what we're doing gets all the way to orbit and potentially beyond in the future. It's a very significant difference. It's the difference between suborbital craft and orbital craft is the difference between something that can cross the English Channel and something which can circumnavigate the globe. So it's important to appreciate that difference. We're starting off with launching small satellites with our Falcon 1 rocket. We did a trial launch earlier this year. We have another one coming up in October. And then we have a much larger rocket called the Falcon 9, which is intended for both large satellites and to carry people. And that's really going to be the mainstay of our business.
I have to ask you, Elon, why? I mean, this could potentially soak up the fortune that you made with PayPal and some of your other companies, yet you're still very interested in doing this.
It's funny you should say that. Actually, there's a joke that's so common, I started reversing the joke. It's people would say, how do you make a small fortune in the space business? Well, you start with a large one. So,
okay, good.
So people would ask me, why did you start a space company? I said, well, you know, I had a large fortune. I was trying to turn it into a small one as fast as possible, and this seemed like a good way to do it. But in all seriousness, I think that the opportunities in space are actually very significant, and we're really potentially at a point with space exploration that we were with the internet about 10 or 15 years ago, and I think it's really poised for some very significant growth.
Dave, you know, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to show what a very super secretive Jeff Bezos is launching, and we will also ask how small independents will work differently than big NASA people. Stay tuned, much more ahead.
Imagine you had a great idea and shared it with the world. To make it a better place. To make it cleaner and quieter. To make people more comfortable. Businesses more successful. The world more connected. Would an idea that great ever fly? It will. And like nothing else. Boeing, forever new frontiers.
Listen to CNBC in your car, now available nationwide on Sirius Satellite Radio.
We're talking about CEO rocket men, once again joined by Dave Brody of Space.com and Elon Musk of SpaceX. Dave, as we look at, say, for example, Jeff Bezos' super secret Blue Origin company, it's just a website. We tried to contact them. They didn't want to give interviews right now. And then Robert Bigelow of Vegas, he's a big multi-billionaire who made his money in budget hotels. What are these guys doing that will perhaps even beat what NASA and the big boys at other countries are doing?
If you look at that piece of tape that we're viewing right now, this is what we think Jeff Bezos might be up to. This is a vehicle that flew in the early 90s. It's called the DCX, for Delta Clipper Experimental. Notice what it's doing. It's hanging right there in the sky. It has the ability to take off and land vertically, as some say, just like God and Robert Heinlein intended a spaceship should do. And it can do that because of the little computer technology that controls the differential thrust. If you take a 2-liter bottle of your beverage of choice, drink about the first liter, balance that bottle on your finger and try and hold it up to the ceiling, that's about what these little computers are trying to do.
And here's Bigelow's. He wants these to be inflatable space hotels and pods that people can live in on planets.
That's right, Ann. He is Elon's customer, I believe.
Oh.
Mr. Bigelow made his money with budget suites. If a road warrior, business traveler like I have, who stayed in a budget suite, well, Mr. Bigelow, and everyone calls him Mr. Bigelow at his company, has put $500 million up to build these inflatable hotel rooms, laboratories, factories in space. They're larger
let me
than
jump
the space
in here
station.
because I want Elon to have the last word on this. As you see all of this, what's the future?
The future, I think we are entering a new era of private space exploration, or privately, commercially driven space exploration. You know, if you look at the internet, I think there is a good parallel there where the internet was founded with government money by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. It was called ARPANET. But where we really saw the internet grow tremendously was when commercial companies came in and provided the services that we use today, like Google, eBay, and so forth. And I think we're going to see the same thing in space.
We can't wait. Keep us posted. Our thanks to Elon Musk and Dave Brody. That's it for Morning Call. Have a lovely holiday weekend. I'm Liz Claman.
And I'm Melissa Francis. Power Lunch is next with Sue Herrera.